welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined by the one and only Julie from our team. Hey, Julie.
Hello.
We're excited to have you guys here today. We're talking about workflows for your client calls. So whether you meet with clients one-on-one for private coaching, or you engage in group coaching, maybe group programs, we're going to talk about workflows today, very specifically, step by step. What do you do or set up in AttractWell, and how do you conduct these calls so that you're getting the most out of your system, and of course, being able to provide the best possible experience for your clients. We've got a lot to get into today. I've got these very specific 3 workflows that we're going to work through together. And of course, we do also have live work reviews, which we do in the second half of all of our calls. We've got 2 folks signed up for that. Looking forward to looking at those website homepages there today as well. So Julie and I are going to pop out a video. You guys head over into the chat, say hello. We're always excited to see you and hear from you on these calls that we host every Thursday at noon Eastern US time. Today, as promised, we are talking about hosting client calls with AttractWell, and specifically, again, getting into these workflows that'll help you save time and improve outcomes. So get ready to take some notes, or maybe even grab a screenshot once I've gone through the workflow outline, so that you've got something to reference. And I am actually going to be going through each one. So the cadence is going to be, I'm essentially going to go over the workflow, right? So here are the steps that we're going to follow, and then I'm going to go into AttractWell and show you exactly how to follow those same steps. So again, a lot to get into, but I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Really looking forward to hearing from you guys and what you're working on here in the chat. So today we're going to talk about these use case workflows. That's going to begin with a very simple version of a one-on-one client call workflow. So this is something that can be done 100% in AttractWell, no additional software required in this particular instance. This is going to be something that's going to be really easy for you to engage with if you're newer to AttractWell, or technology is not your love language. All right, so we're going to start with a simple version. Then we're going to get into a more optimized version. So if you're already maybe using a simplified version of client calls and you want to, throw a little gasoline on the fire, we can get into the optimization here on our next workflow. And then finally, we're going to talk about group coaching calls. So how to set up and conduct your group coaching calls. And then again, as always, live help and Q&A. Go ahead and add questions to the Q&A if you're coming in today with questions. This is an opportunity to get help regardless of whether or not your question pertains to today's topic. So please do go ahead and take advantage of that Q&A. Julie is here and ready, knows our system incredibly well inside and out, and can answer questions as well as direct them over to me to talk through live or show and tell here on the call if you got them. And if you would like to work together, like several folks have opted to do this week, you can go to attractwell.com/office hours, or sorry, rather, AttractWell.com/office hours is where you want to go to get on the list. If you're watching this as a replay, here's where you want to go if you want to work together. AttractWell.com/work review is where you want to go if you would like to sign up for a review like the one that we will be conducting at the close of our training here today. If you would like to hand off your dream projects to someone who could get them done maybe faster, more design proficiently than you may be. We love seeing people work in their zone of genius. Go to attractwell.com/concierge and check out the zone of genius on display by our incredible team. See the work that they've done for folks just like you. They're great people waiting to help you if you would like that help. All right, so let's talk about running client calls with AttractWell. Now, the first case I'm going to walk through with you is one-on-one client calls in a simplified way. Again, this is going to be for you if you're just getting started with AttractWell, or if even maybe if you're just getting started with coaching. Right? So what we'll do first is we're assuming that we know when we are meeting our client. So maybe you have gotten their agreement, they're ready to get started with you, and you communicate between you and your client the time that you would like to get together. And so what you're going to do is create a one-time meeting in AttractWell. And the way that we do that, and I'm just going to pop right over here into our dashboard, we're going to create a one-time meeting. And where we'll find that in our dashboard is right down here under Zoom meetings. So we'll click there. And then we'll go ahead and set up that meeting. So I'm going to go here to schedule meeting. This is going to be a meeting with me. So this is going to be, maybe this is, I'm going to name this for my program. So this is 90 days to a better you. And it's with my client named Ashley, which is me. Okay, so it's a one-time meeting. We are going to meet at, let's see, we're going to meet, we've just agreed that we're going to meet maybe on Friday at 2 p.m. Great. That's going to be for a 45-minute call. It could be an hour call. You select your time. And then you get to choose how you allow people in. So because this is just a one-on-one call with a client, I am going to automatically start video for me and the client. I am not going to allow attendees to join before the meeting, although in this use case, it would be fine to check this. There wouldn't be a problem here. I am not going to auto record the meeting on my computer. I'll explain why here in just a bit. I will enable the waiting room, and I'm not going to use a personal meeting ID. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. And let's go hop back over to our list to see what our next step is. So we've created our one-time meeting. Then I'm going to share that meeting info with my client from the event page. So let's go back over and take a look at that. So here I'm going to go to send up here. So this is for Ashley. So I'm going to go to edit. Oh, not edit. Sorry. I'm going to go to send right here, send. And then I can go and find my client right here. I'm going to go to type in Ashley. Here she is. Right. And I'm going to right here send this out. So you can actually see, join the meeting. All of this information is here with the link. I'm going to make this cute. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to hyperlink it. And the text is going to say, click to join. I'm going to paste that link in the URL, click insert, and maybe even turn this into a button. Great. Okay, so this is ready to go. So looking forward to our call. And then I'm going to go ahead and schedule this to go out here in just a little bit. So I'm going to send it maybe at 3 p.m. So schedule to one contact, good to go. All right, so I have shared that meeting info with my client. What is next? Next, we are going to go and start that meeting at our set date and time. And to do that, we're going to go over to our Zoom meetings. We're going to locate the meeting, and then we're simply going to click start meeting. Okay, so that share that you did is automatically sending the attendee link, which is this get link right here. But this is your link to click. So this is you starting the meeting. This is them joining the meeting. All right, so we're going to click that. I obviously can't do that here because I'm on Zoom with you guys right now. When you're in the Zoom meeting, I want you to record the meeting to the cloud, because this is going to make it really, really easy for you. It'll save you some steps if you intend to save your recording with your client and share it with them after the fact. Now, typically, if you've got a one-on-one client call, you're not going to have a need to edit that, right? Because it's not going to be published. So I would just save it to the cloud, and then you'll be on your way, right? Now, what we're going to do, and we're in our call right now. We're still in our Zoom call. We have hit record to cloud. Now we need to go and add notes because we are in a meeting. So I'm going to go to my contacts and search, and I'm going to go find my client here. I've got their card open. Perfect. And under past actions, we are going to add notes from a call. So here's call, and I'm going to add my notes here. This was taking place. This is what tomorrow, that's tomorrow at 2. Obviously, we're pretending that we're doing this now, but if you forget to do it, you can add your date, add your notes here from the call. There's your past action. And so that log will be here. And then you can also, and I've used this contact card previously to share this, but you can also set up metrics. And as you're discussing metrics and so on with your client on the call, you can be going in and making these modifications. And we do have additional training where we talk about contact progress and how that is something that you can share and even collaborate with your clients on. All right, so we have added our notes, and we are using the progress tracking feature. That's optional, but certainly something I recommend if you are actively tracking metrics. and want to share them. Now, after the call, we want to send an email to recap and share next steps with them. So while we are still on our contact card here, we are going to go up here to mail. And if you have a template, which I highly recommend using saved replies to create templates for yourself, maybe you have one for, let's just say, for instance, you're working with a client on a call series. Maybe you meet with them 6 times over 6 months, and you've got specific milestones that you're looking for. Perhaps you have maybe milestone specific saved replies that you set up for the particular call that they are on with you, right? So whatever that looks like, you can drop a saved reply in here and you'll have a template to work from, any kind of follow-up, next steps, etc. And of course, you can have this go out. So, we'll call this next steps. Put any information you want to put in here. And I, of course, am going to be scheduling this for after our call because that is tomorrow. So I'm just going to schedule that. So that's good to go. Again, use those saved replies. They will save you time in the future. All right. And then finally, what we're going to do is go and locate our recordings. Because remember, we selected record meeting to cloud. So once we're done with our call, we are going to go and grab that recording so that we can send it to our client. And maybe that's a part of that email that we're going to send out. So let's go down here to our Zoom meetings. We can go to my recordings. And of course, this isn't the specific one. I did do this as an example just a little bit ago, but because I went into Zoom, I started a call, I recorded it to cloud. You can actually see this link copy into my video library is available. And it says, check your video library to see when it's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And it's going to take me to my library where I can see that right here. I'm going to go ahead and click share with link and click get link. And I could even make this for a specific contact if I want to. I'm just going to select get link because this is actually going to have the client's name, Ashley, on here. So you know that you're not going to use that anywhere else because, again, this is not the literal call that we just set up because we can't use Zoom while we're on Zoom. Okay, so our next step, just to reiterate here, if I could get back to my other share Zoom, here we go. We're doing that check share with link to obtain a direct link to share with client. So I'm actually going to go to that scheduled email that I have with my next steps. So remember, I clicked get share with link and I got the link. Now I'm going to go back over here to my messages to find that email that I scheduled. So I can just pop this, our recording in there, right? So here's our recording from today's call, right? And I'm going to just click here. Here's our recording, add a link, and then there's the link to the video, right? And of course, this would have any of those next steps, etc., and they would be able to access that recording from right here. Cool. Okay, so we have just completed our workflow for a simplified approach to conducting our one-on-one client calls. Now let's talk about the more optimized version of this. Now, the first step is going to be to utilize a page with a form on it to create a pre-call intake, right? So the idea here is that at different stages of your process, or maybe you do this the same way on each call, you're asking a couple of key questions about where your client is in their journey based on their work with you. Maybe you're gathering specific information so that you can show up more prepared for the call that you have with them. So essentially what you're doing here is we're going over into AttractWell. We're creating a page. That page is going to be really simple. It's going to have a form on it. Let me actually see if I have an intake page that I might be able to show you guys. Yes, I think this is it. Yeah, so we've got a really simple page here. When they click the button, there is a pop-up on the page. So there's a pop-up. And then we're going to, in the fields, ask questions, right? So this is where we can say, you know, what does this metric look like for you and that and so on, right? And we do have additional trainings, you guys, in further detail on how to set up a form like this. But essentially what you're doing is asking the questions that you might want to know before you get on the call with your client. Okay, so you create a page that allows them to fill out a form before they even book with you, right? So when they click this, they're able to put in all of that information. All of this gets put into the past actions on their contact card, and you're good to go, right? So that's for your intake. Depending on what you offer, you may have multiple versions of this for different stages of your work with clients. Okay, now the next page that we would go is to a booking page. So that's another page in your AttractWell account where you have embedded the calendar software that you choose to use, if that's something that you are doing, right? So if I go back to my pages, again, I think I already have a version of this created, and we have talked about this on previous trainings. Let me see, book. Yes, so here is an example of this, where we've got Calendly embedded here. You can actually see what this looks like. This is an inactive calendar, so it's not actually going to show the dates. But essentially, you've got your booking available still on your website, but on this specific page. You're going to have, after somebody fills out that form, you're going to have that redirect to this page, right? So after the visitor completes that form, fills out all of those pre-call questions, then they're able to book with you on a page like this one, okay? Now, in this instance, where you're setting up a redirect page, what we're doing is we're creating a recurring Zoom meeting link in AttractWell, and that's going to be the meeting location in your calendar software. So I'll show you what that looks like really briefly using Calendly, which is what we use. Let me make sure that I've got access to that here so I can connect and show you. But essentially what we're doing in AttractWell is we're creating that recurring meeting link for the type of meeting that we're hosting. So let me get back over here to our Zoom meetings. And this is where we have, maybe these are my 90 days to a better you calls, maybe it's discovery call or whatever that is. We're scheduling a recurring meeting link. So that's recurring here. And you're going to title it the way that you want to, have your settings set up the way that you want to, and you're ultimately going to take the get link, right? So this is the attendee link. You're going to copy that. So I'm copying that to clipboard. And then in the event that you set up inside of your calendar booking software, you're going to put that in as the location. Right? So this is the location. You can see that I actually have that pasted here. And the way that I do that is you've got all of these different options. And then there's custom where you can just paste it in. That's where I've put the recurring meeting link from AttractWell. Okay. Again, this is just a little bit more advanced, but it is very streamlined for you. You don't have to do the back and forth of, oh, when are you available? Does this work for you, etc. And you're going in armed with answers to questions that you'd like to know before you even get on the call with a client, right? From there, you're going to go in and click Start Meeting in Zoom, just like we did in the other version of this workflow. You're going to start the meeting at the set date and time, and then you're going to navigate, just like we did before, to your client's contact card. You're going to click Add in Past Actions to log the call and add the notes. You'll use that progress tracking feature like we discussed previously to share and track metrics. And then after the call, again, use a saved reply to save yourself some time, send an email to recap and share next steps. And then the other option that you have, and the more optimal way of working with the client one-on-one, is to have a private client dashboard. Now, we do have training on setting something like that up, but essentially what you're doing in that case is you're creating a vault, and you would definitely want to have the unlimited vaults feature unlocked in AttractWell to do what I'm referring to here. But essentially what you would be doing is you would create a vault that is just for your client. So let's just pretend that this is, I'm going to name this 90 days to a better you. And I'll put the client's name here. And this is just for this client, right? So I'll save that. And then let's get into the content where we've got our calls and replays. So here's where we have met and chatted before. Maybe I've got a link to our calendar in here, right? Lots of different options. But here I would actually go in and find that video recording from our call by going right here to videos. And here is that one. I'm going to go select video here, click done. And then in that email that I'm sending out, just to, follow up and recap, I can say, go ahead and check your dashboard if you want to access the replay from this call, right? So you can keep all of that right in here. All right, so that is the full story on the optimized workflow utilizing a private client vault, as well as that intake page and the automated booking using a third-party calendar software. Now, the final use case we're going to explore here today is a group coaching call where you are able to work with a bunch of people at once on the same call. Maybe you have a program that you're running for a set period of time. Maybe it's a membership, whatever that looks like. The first thing we're going to do is create that recurring Zoom meeting in AttractWell, which I showed just a moment ago, that we used to set up that booking page. So we're going to create a recurring Zoom meeting in AttractWell for this specific series of calls. And then we're going to go create a date-based campaign. Now, if you're new to AttractWell, a campaign in AttractWell is a series of messages that are delivered at a specific interval that you set, right? And they can also be date-based. So in this case, if you have a 90-day group coaching program and you're going to be meeting every week, then you're going to set these emails up to send out, in this case, maybe with a reminder the day before, hey, remember our call is tomorrow, here's how you want to prepare. And then maybe an hour before, hey, we're going to be meeting at this time, here's your link to join. Right? So you're going to build a campaign that has those type of messages in it that is set up to deliver on those calendar dates to the people that it's applied to. So let's go take a quick look at what that would look like in AttractWell. So again, assuming we've already created the Zoom link that we want to use, we're going to go under contacts to campaigns. And we're going to create a new one. And this is going to be our 90 days to a better you. And this is going to be for my intake of fall 2024. There we go. That's what they see if they manage their subscriptions from you. I'm going to create that campaign. And now I can go in and add my messages. So the first one is welcome to, oh, I've actually done this before. Look at that. Welcome to 90 Days to a Better You. Here's where I'm going to add the schedule. Calls to action of any kind that I want. This is our day 0. This is just going to go out to them to let them know, hey, the sequence is starting. Here's what you can expect. And then the first one that I'm going to, the first message that's going to be sent that's a reminder, I'm going to set up to go out the day before. So our call is tomorrow. And I'm going to put that program name in here. And then, just a reminder, how to prepare. We'll save that message. And then I'm actually going to start showing you how you adjust the dates for these. So let me add one more. That is, our call is, see you at 6 Eastern. And then again, put the program name in here. 90 Days to a Better You. And then Zoom link. So we put the Zoom link in here, that recurring Zoom link. Remember, if you don't have it saved, go ahead and just open that Zoom meeting links in a new tab here. And let's just go grab it. And that's get link. That's this one, get link. And let's pop back over here and let's add that, right? So make it a button if you want to make it pretty, right? So that's what you do, right? You want to obviously say more than this, but for the sake of time. All right, so this is what they get right away. This is what they get the day before. This is what they get the day of when it's time for them to hop on the call. So what we need to do is, based on the day that our program starts, and this is going to start, since it's fall 2024, it's going to start in September. I want them to get a reminder the day before we start. We are going to start, let's say, on a Tuesday. Right, so we'll meet Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern. So the day before that, when we get the reminder, is going to be day one, but day one is 24 hours after day 0, right? So this is actually going to start on the 1st. So then you can see that this is Tuesday the 3rd. Perfect. That's going to be sending the day that we need it to. And then this is going to send the day of, or sorry, this is the day before, this is the day of. So we're going to edit our times. Here we want to maybe send this the evening before. So I want to send this at 5 o'clock Eastern time, which is 4 o'clock Central. And here, because my call again is 6 o'clock Eastern time, that's 5 o'clock Central. So I need to send it at 4 o'clock Central here as well. There we go. So it's going to send at 5 Central an hour before. This is going to send at 5 Central the day before. And then you're just going to repeat this for the entirety of the campaign that you want to create. You can actually duplicate these messages and then just modify the dates just to make them take a little bit more of that work off of yourself, and of course streamline the production of this. You can certainly go in and make these, you know, very unique to each of these calls that you have, but that is the simple streamlined way to set it up. So create that campaign. Regardless of how you run your group coaching call, this is what's going to save you loads of time and keep you from having to worry about whether or not you sent the right link or things are getting to people when they need to get to people, right? And the cool thing about those campaigns is you can actually replicate them and use them again. Just change the dates and make sure that everything lines up the way you want it to. Okay, so we've created a recurring Zoom meeting. We have added that to our date-based campaign. Now, if you are using a vault for your coaching program, which I highly recommend that you do because you can put curriculum in there, you can have discussion rooms where people are interacting outside of these group coaching calls, highly recommend that you use our live calls and replays page, which we do have a template for this. I'll be sure to put this in the link below on YouTube. When we put this replay out, it is something that we've shared multiple times before. But let's go take a look real quick at what this would look like. I actually was looking at that when we were in our vault previously. So if we go over to vaults here, I know that this one that I had set up as the private client vault, we'll pretend like this is a group one. This one does have a copy of that Zoom calls and replays page. So let's take a look at this. This is a page inside of a vault. Vaults are a password protected space inside of your member area where you can offer things like courses and programs. But here, just like I did when I was demonstrating at the optimized one-on-one example for client calls, you can have your program logo in here, you can have your dates, etc. We're going to be putting our video right here. And then, of course, you can have your whole schedule set up here for folks to engage with. So let's come back over here and remember what we did. We deleted this placeholder. We clicked add video, and then we go find that video. So here we go. Select. Perfect. So now that's there. You have your video inside of your vault. All right. Well, that's where you're going to be sharing that information. I did just show what you can do after you're off of the call, but you're going to start that meeting instead of starting right at the time that it's time to meet your clients. I would encourage you, because this is a group call, to hop on a couple minutes prior and get into the host controls. If you want to do things like, disabling screen sharing and not allowing people to unmute themselves until you decide it's time, right? You have a lot of really robust controls that are included with Zoom meetings and AttractWell that really allow you to almost run a webinar, right? Like it's almost the same as running a webinar, which you would otherwise pay $100 or more a month for separately from AttractWell, but you can actually achieve a lot of those same controls using the built-in Zoom that we have. So just hop on a couple minutes before to set up those settings that you want to have in place and run your meeting. Make sure that you record that to the cloud if you don't intend to edit it. If you do intend to trim it or make other adjustments to the recording, you may want to record that to your device and then upload it separately later. But as a general rule, most of the time, these calls are they're a little bit more raw than, say, a YouTube video. So you are going to, in most cases, I think, be fine with recording to the cloud because you don't typically need to edit these calls. So after your call is concluded, you want to do just what we did before, locating that call recording in My Recordings, click to move it over to the video manager, just like we did before. And then you can add that to the replay page, like I showed you a moment ago, or use that share with link and then send out a broadcast to your clients. So that share with link is what you would actually use if you are not using a vault, right? So there are, in some cases, folks that maybe run a limited coaching series for a group where they just meet on a weekly basis and there is no vault. If that's you, you'll skip this live calls and replays page. You don't have to have a vault. And then, of course, you would just use that share with link that would just send a direct link to the video to the folks that you choose. All right. So I know that's a lot. If you guys want to see anything again, certainly let me know. But yeah, let's get into the second half of our call with our live help and Q&A. Excited to work with you guys here today. Peggy's question here. So the date-based messages don't have to start with the first message, the one that's sent ASAP, as long as the date-based messages are no day zero. That's correct. Yeah. So day zero is going to be dependent on when the campaign is applied to the contact. So that's going to be when you apply the campaign to the contact, when an automation runs, if they opt in, etc. Right? So that is yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that day zero, you don't always have to send, but for date-based campaigns, that day one is really important. You could start on a day two, day three, etc. Just make sure, because it'll actually show the date. Like I showed before, it'll show the date underneath the day one, two, etc. You'll be able to see that that is actually going to be sending at the correct date and time from right there. Melody, does one get 1 hour so you're asking like for a time limit. I'm actually kind of curious because we just did a call for our other platform. There's a lot of folks who are using Working Live. And I think folks have just recently found out that they are going out of business. During COVID, they offered a phenomenal deal of, I think it was like less than $10 a month for like a full featured Zoom with webinars and everything. And as too good to be true offers tend to go, they don't last forever. So yeah, if you are looking at maybe having paid for Zoom, either direct from Zoom or for something like Working Live, if you've got questions about that and moving over to AttractWell, feel free to let us know, and we and we'll get into that. Okay, yeah. So if you have free Zoom, that maxes out at 40 minutes. Yours maxes out in AttractWell at like 24 hours. So you're good. I don't think that anybody needs a 24-hour Zoom, but you could if you wanted to. So yeah, no, we don't kick you out at that point. Your plan level will indicate the number of people that can be on a Zoom with you. If your current plan level doesn't support the additional attendees, reach out to our team, because this is something that we can manually modify for you at a very, very reasonable cost. Karen says, I've just set up an event and have set up a max number of sales on the payment page. When I check the registration link, it shows 0 remaining available. Okay. All right, Karen, let's take a quick look at that, and hopefully I am qualified to help with this. All right. Can you tell me real quick, maybe just pop into the chat and let me know what the name of the page is, and I'll pull that up for you. Okay, Glow Yoga sales page. Perfect. Okay, there it is. Perfect. Let's take a quick look. Okay. It doesn't appear, just looking at this from right here, that it's not going to allow someone to register. Let's go look at the settings here. Okay. Okay, so you've got a max number for this one if they use that coupon code. Okay. So I guess where is it showing up for you that that it shows 0 remaining available, because it doesn't appear in this may be like device specific. Maybe, let me see. We go to register now. It appears to, oh, here we go. 0 remaining. I see. There it is showing up here. Okay. Well, I don't know. Julie, do you have ideas about how we might troubleshoot this? It could be that it might be correlating with tags. I'm actually not entirely sure what the internal mechanism there is for us, like how those are registered and why it would show that none are available if none have been purchased. Do you have any idea, Julie?
I'm looking through it. I'm not seeing anything obvious. I can look at it a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Cause this one actually, honestly, unfortunately, Karen, is a little over my head. So I'm going to keep your question open here in the Q&A. Okay. Heather says, I popped in late. Apologize if I missed the call. Question is, if I already have a paid version of Zoom, can this be integrated into use with AttractWell? So, so it would be extra work. Like if you already have paid Zoom, I would certainly not recommend that you renew it because you really don't need it if you have AttractWell. If you feel that you really need a webinar, then certainly keep it for that. Essentially what you're going to be doing is creating your events, your meetings, etc. in Zoom, grabbing the link from there and then putting it into AttractWell. So you're just going to be obtaining those links from, like, you know, join links for webinars and calls, etc. And then just putting those into the emails, etc. that you're creating with AttractWell. We did do a training, I believe, on this channel back in April that went into a great deal of depth, including those host controls that allow you to really treat a meeting like a webinar, unless you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on your calls and regularly. You really don't need to have webinars. It's not like if your list is in the, you know, tens of thousands and you have tons of leads who get on calls and it's maybe a little unpredictable and, you know, it's just you. If it makes financial sense for you, by all means keep it. But I really think that that's it's an excessive charge and more technology than honestly the majority of us need who are serving clients. You know, again, like not at massive scale. If you've got a list in the tens of thousands and higher, and you're promoting calls to that size of an audience, then you might, then webinars might, I think, make a lot more sense. But the controls, again, that you have on Zoom calls that you get through AttractWell, or Zoom meetings rather, you get through AttractWell, they cover what most of us need. So it's not going to have the same degree of integration. Like you can't, it's not going to be in your AttractWell dashboard when it's time for you to start your meeting. You're going to have to go log into your Zoom and so on. All right. India says, this might be slightly unrelated. That's okay. I handle administrative work for our current business as well as our new gym opening in September. I'm going to be onboarding and teaching all clients how to use and utilize AttractWell. Our clientele is predominantly elderly and not tech savvy. Do you guys have a video that may give me some tips and ideas on how to teach them how to use the program on the client side? So India, what I would recommend doing is getting your vaults and that entire experience set up, and then filming yourself talking through the use of these different features, right? So it would be difficult for us to teach your users how to use your programs, because what you really want to be able to do, especially in that instance where you're teaching people who are uncomfortable with tech, you want to be able to show them where they're actually going to be clicking. And so you can do that by taking screenshots of the process. Right. So here's like basically what you're doing: create the entire thing and then log out, pretend like you are one of them, go through the entire process and either film yourself or screenshot each part of the process, put those into a slide deck and then narrate that as a video or a series of videos that kind of teaches what that onboarding looks like. That would be my recommendation. You know, just pretend like you're them and then talk them through it. Which is what we do every week here. So those are a bunch of screenshots that I showed you guys, or on previous trainings that we do. I show tons of screenshots of here's what it looks like in the system as we're doing this, and here's what it's going to look like, etc. If it makes sense to show the entire process, if it is a seamless thing, sometimes it's not, right? Like sometimes it's, you know, right now I'm in my browser, but then I need to check my email, and here's what the email looks like. In an instance like that, it's going to be a lot more helpful to just show screenshots so that you're indicating what something might look like or perform like for them. Thank you for that. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we have 2 live reviews scheduled today. Excited to chat with you guys. We have, where did you go, Paige? Okay, I've got Adrienne and Diana. If you guys are here, pop your hand up for me, and I will bring you guys out and chat. Here we go. All right, Adrienne. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thanks.
I
So
like
you
your
wanted to, what's that?
I like your hair. It's cute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, it's not the drastic change I thought I was gonna get, but it's here. I think it's here to stay. All right, so you wanted to get feedback on your homepage, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me more about kind of what you're looking for, what your goals are here.
Well, that I don't know. I'm not a website designer by any means, and I just want something that stands out that looks more professional. Like I feel like I need, I don't know, a different picture, but for now I think the picture in the top part's okay, but as I scroll down mainly towards where my testimonials are, I've been tweaking it so it looks even worse now than it did like 2 weeks ago. Um, I originally had all these alternating, like one testimonial was blue, the next one was green.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know. My signature colors are blue and green, but I don't want it to be too overpowering to where like the whole entire site is blue and green.
Mhm.
So I just kind of didn't know what I should do as far as how I should, do the pictures, what colors would look better to where if somebody like I'm wanting to work with partnering with doctors and nurses and different healthcare staff. And if they come
Mhm.
to my site to get more information about what I do, and I want it to look really, really professional and not like this.
Got you. Okay. Well, first off, this is a great start. I'm going to go just kind of top to bottom here and give you some feedback. Ultimately, I think the mantra is less is more. It's great to have, say, I want to have this color, that color. It's funny. My husband has taken to wanting to decorate. Since we moved into our apartment, our bedroom has just kind of been the last place that anybody's paid any attention to like design. And he's kind of taken it upon himself, and he's really into this idea that we've got like this sort of charcoal dark sort of accent wall and like these wood elements and all of the elements that keep showing up, and like, well, we should get this vase or this piece of art or whatever, and everything is sort of like gold and black. And like it's fine for you to say these are the elements that are kind of driving my inspiration, but it's really important that we kind of take a step back to look at a bigger picture, because we can really overwhelm even if we've only selected 2 colors. So we want to kind of really think about the overall palette, the readability, and the view. So to start this up, like this above the fold section of your page, I think is really excellent. I think you've done a good job here. I would, if it were me, 2 things. I would go to, I don't know if it was Canva or wherever you would have created this logo. I would take the logo file that you have and shrink down the visual elements just a bit, so you've got a little bit more padding, a little bit more space, because the top of our raven is kind of hitting the top here and the branch is hitting the bottom, and it feels a little nicer to have just a little bit more space above and below. So that would be the first thing, is just to make a slight modification to the padding around the visual elements in your logo. Now, I would err on the side of one of 2 things with this top section. You have done a good job here in that your message is loud and clear. This isn't you're making this point, and you're making it well. If you want to level up the sort of brand value here, I would encourage you to either create a 2-column section here where this is maybe on the left and then this with the button is on the right. And then maybe consider having a little bit less color contrast between the two, because while this is actually, it's visually striking and you are making the point, like the point isn't getting lost, it is a little bit busy. Right. So what you could do is maybe have for the entirety of where you have the text here, maybe you've got a background and actually let me find you in the system and we'll just go take a look at that page together if that's okay. I'm gonna make sure I'm logged in as you so I can do this. Okay, here we go. Okay, so is this called homepage?
Yes.
Okay. So what I might do in a section like this, and I'm just going to duplicate it so that we can fool around with it. I would actually take the entirety. So you see how I'm highlighting the whole section here? Mm-hmm. I would select that. Oops, I need to actually be in the element editor here. I would select the whole bit here and increase the background opacity. Maybe add a little bit of padding to the top and bottom. And then for these, I would, instead of having this this contrast here for the background of the image, which I think is this one, I'm gonna remove that. There we go. What I would do is maybe have a, just make this black, right? Make all of the text here black with no effects or anything, just very clear and straightforward. And then I would go in with this again to the background editor, because the idea here is to just really kind of keep things simple, right? But we don't want to lose this the stuff that's happening in the background with the river, if that's what you want to keep. So we can continue to increase the background opacity here. And you could absolutely like use another color if you wanted to. I'm just, to go with the less is more. This is more along the lines of what I would recommend. I would probably remove the sort of blur happening on the text there, just to keep it a little
I keep
more crisp,
struggling
right?
trying to figure that out.
Sometimes sometimes when we do a lot, like it's kind of hard to undo all of it. Sometimes we just kind of need to start a new section and that's fine. Another option that you could pursue here is to get into the column editor and add like a second column basically, which I don't think now that I have this set up the way that it is, I don't think that I can do that, but you could use the same background, have a 2-column section where again, you've got, and really all you have to do there is just to create a 2-column no header, put that background image in here, and then put this "Don't let type 2 diabetes control your life," again, very large on the left-hand side. And then this additional supporting text and your button on the right-hand side. That would work well, and it would also perform well on mobile, right? And something like either of these would perform well on mobile as well. So this is, again, this isn't bad. It's, that's the direction I would use to optimize. So moving forward, I would definitely add more padding, right? So add a little bit more. It's better to have somebody breathe visually, right? Then jump them straight into a bunch of text. So what I would do in a section like this one, where we do need more breathing room between the spaces here, is to go down to padding and increase that on the top and bottom. Padding is always going to be your best friend, especially if you have a lot to say. More sections with less stuff in them is always going to be more user-friendly, right? These are good. Again, I would increase the padding in this section as well. Let me do this on the published page. Yeah, I would increase the padding here. This is fine. I don't know that you necessarily need the blue and the brown.
Okay.
And
yeah, I was wondering
that
too.
You can also play around with, you don't have to. So we've done, a left side, a right side with the visual content. You don't have to necessarily stay centered either. You know, you can kind of change things up. You could even have this section here. It doesn't even have to have the blue background. The color of the content here, the client success stories, could be this blue, and you could even put that over maybe on the left-hand side, right? So you can kind of play around with that. But yeah, like erring on the side of simple over complex with the visual elements. In the case of Tracy here, we are highlighting his name, and amazing that he has this story, but the stuff that we really want people to pay attention to are, you know, these things. He had this. So I would actually make his name smaller, not highlight his name, but maybe have a bullet point list with, you know, Tracy was diagnosed with this. And then after 3 months, this, right? So people are going to be able to kind of read that, as opposed to a paragraph here, seeing those bullet point lists that really hit on the pain points that they have, because they've got the diagnosis as well. Their A1C is high as well. They're maybe struggling with blood, like they are going to be relating to each of these items, and they're going to land better and work more effectively for you if they're in lists as opposed to paragraphs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would do that with all of these. That would be a lot more effective. Okay. Now, with something like this, where you have a great testimonial like this, you could actually create a little section with maybe her photo and this as a quote. You could have, and we definitely have, like, you know, carousel options for sections where you can, you know, have stuff like that floating through. But you don't want to have a ton of information if you are going to be using like an animated carousel section, because that's, you know, it's just a lot for somebody to read. But in any case, where you're going to be sharing information like this from clients, definitely err on the side of list, because what they're telling your reader is, I am you. Here's what I got from this, right? We're the same. She did this for me. Let me see. And you know, another thing that you could do as well, where you're creating contrast, where you've got like a bold color section and then white with the content. There's no reason why you can't have a couple of elements on your page that have like this, you know, what you're doing here, right? You don't want to get too sort of color blocky with it necessarily. So like, you know, have a section where, you know, maybe multiples are this color. So perhaps in your, when you get into client success stories, maybe you use one color as the background for that whole section, so it looks unified as a single section. And then, you know, and then as you move on to another one, maybe under Meet Your Coach, maybe this is where you can employ like a parallax background, like you have in this top section. You know, with Meet Your Coach, right? We're moving into a different section of the page. And that's just, you know, an option, an example of what you can do to kind of create a little bit more visual variety there. This is good. The way that you've got this spaced out, you've got these images here together. I would encourage you to, however, in a section like this, maybe consider where you've got, you know, your certifications. These are great, but the certifications, like you can say I am certified in something, and that's going to have just as much power in helping someone say yes. As well, basically, you don't need to tell them everything, and you definitely don't need to brand your certifications next to you, because you're really the power here. So further down the page, maybe just like you have here, I've been featured on, you could have maybe in your footer, you know, some of the logos for your certification or something like that. Certified by, right? Featured by, certified by, etc. We just don't want somebody else's brand to steal your thunder in this section. And this would actually give you the opportunity to, because you are telling a personal story, break this up into here's you, and then here's you and your husband, because you're talking about your husband and his diagnosis, or here's, you know what I mean? Like you can actually break this down into a larger section with more photos, because this is an emotional story that you're sharing, and you're going to be able to keep people engaged and invested with more of those elements. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. So yeah, I think that less is more with the colors, especially where they're next to each other, and padding is your friend. But all told, like you have done an excellent job, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I also have Diana of Svasta Wellness. Are you here? I don't see you here, but let me see. I believe you had requested a quick look at your I think it was your about page, perhaps. Oh, you are. Hi. Hi. Okay, perfect. Hey, how can we help?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, so I would love some input on my new About Me page. And I followed, you did a great webinar on how to create the bio and the About Me. And so I just followed those steps. I still feel like I probably have too much. And so I would just love some input. So it's actually not live right now
Oh,
because
okay.
it's still like under construction.
Okay.
So it would be
Sure.
under pages and under new About Me page right there next to the home page.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so I have a couple of questions. One is just visually. Now you're going to see there's some mobile versions and desktop versions. And so it's a little hard
Sure.
to go through kind of when it's not under the view. But yeah, so just overall impression, I would like to just get your input. Again, if it's too much, too little, if it's clear. And another question that I had is, I ran a yoga studio before and had, many, many teachers and staff. And this new business is just me. And so I'm very used to speaking in terms of we. But it's feeling a little bit odd to go in terms of we when I'm making it kind of like a personal story. So I was wondering what your thoughts were in terms of being professional and presenting, is it better to go from first person or kind of from like a we, like a company perspective?
Mm. So you are branding as not your name, right? So you are branding Svasta
Mhm.
Wellness.
Yeah.
So you really can go either way. I think, certainly assumes and gives the impression that there is a team, right?
Mhm.
And so if that's accurate, or it will be accurate, then then we is fine. But if this is your brand, but you are ultimately the person that they're working with, and how you want them to know and connect with the brand, then it needs to be I. So, right, like I am Diana of Svasta Wellness, right?
Right.
So yeah, if it is you and it appears, at least so far on this page, and we're showing a picture of you, then
Mhm.
I think that I is the choice for now. If if you expand and you bring on more practitioners, more coaches, or what have you, then you might want to shift that to we. But I think for now, I is good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So I would recommend making this section a bit smaller. I
Mhm.
think it looks like this is a maybe a GIF that's,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. But it's just kind of doing the exact same thing that the logo is doing in terms of just
Okay.
showing the name, and it's not quite showing all of it in this particular view. So I do think, because you have a name here, it is a good idea to explain what that is. But when people arrive here, I think that what they want to see is, sure, like a little bit of like, what is this? But I would make this a much smaller section so that they can actually see that they're about to learn about you, because they want to see the human. When we go to about, they kind of want to hear about the humans behind it. But I would definitely first address, like, what does Svasta mean? Um, but I probably wouldn't do that with an image. I would maybe have a background that maybe has like this beautiful borders, sort of a sorry looking border at the bottom. Maybe have an image like that is the background of a section, and then just have this text here,
Okay.
where you just mention what kind of giving them the vocabulary. I am absolutely in love with the background images here that we're parallaxing over. It's so
Oh,
pretty.
good.
Um, this is great. The bold weight of this, I don't think is necessary. Because this looks like a kind of a heavy, bold font. I think that could maybe be a little bit lighter. It's not a huge deal or anything. Let me go back to the actual, let's look at that real quick and see what's going on here. I think that what might be happening here happens sometimes, like where it's, let me see, font size, style, normal. It could just be the font itself, in which case it's fine. Sometimes it'll say strong in the code or something like that. And that just means that it is bolded. But yeah, no, if that's just the style of the font, then that's the style of the font and that's fine. Let's go back to our preview. And it is a good balance as well of a photo of you, and the amount of text here works really well too. Again, with the pretty background. This is excellent. I love how this is sort of popping up. You've got a nice little shadow there, giving it dimension, and a little border on this one. I would consider maybe shortening this list just a little bit.
Okay.
This is good. I would add just a little bit more padding to the left-hand side of this section here. It's a little like, do you see how it seems like there's a bit more space on this side? This is great. This is actually, for everyone who's watching, and of course, Diana, for you, there's a lot going on in the background of these sections, but the way that you've set them up is really beautiful, and it flows really fluidly. And you've kind of got, you've got some lines like you're doing here, and this is kind of calling the eye to this section here. But all of this sort of beautiful patterns that we're scrolling over in the background, they're all kind of the same level of subtlety, right? They blend really nicely together, so it's not distracting. It is kind of echoing the visual theme of this kind of mandala looking shape that you have up here at the top, almost like a chakra sign. So yeah, what I would do in your case as well, you've done it well in this section. I would increase the padding in this section and this section, and definitely increase the padding even more so around this one, because you've got the black lines on either side, and that's really going to make the reader want to know, oh, well, what's going on in here, right? Because we're drawing our attention to right in here. And because we're just so close with all of the other stuff, it feels a little busy. So just add a little space, little padding there, and that'll take care of that. Here at the bottom of this as well. This is a good amount of information, and you formatted it well. But yeah, definitely a little padding here. This is good. I love that image stack there. Yeah, again, just a little bit more padding in between the sections where you're transitioning here. You've got a good amount of information. The images are really nice. The backgrounds are so pretty. I love these. Yep, no, this section, again, really good. Needs a little bit more padding on the top and bottom. I think, yeah, just as a general rule, I would add a little bit more padding to the top and bottom of almost every section. Okay. It looks like this is supposed to be a primary point. I would make this primary point because you're kind of saying this is my philosophy, and that's fine. I would either make this larger or make this bolder. Because, if this is sort of a primary point of this section, then we want to make that visually so. Let's see, this is good because this is more of the supporting information. So this is where we're going to win them, and if we haven't won them, then this is how we win them, right? So this is our best opportunity is what's here.
Got it.
Padding here too. Nope, this is so pretty. Oh, look at that. You've done such a good job. Nope, this is great. Mostly just an add padding thing. Yeah.
Okay.
You've got form here.
I had a lot of trouble with this. First it wasn't coming out, now it's showing form. I'm not really sure how to fix it.
Let me see what's in, where would that be? Okay. All right, so form is there. Okay. In our settings, leads on the page, good. Message to show, aha, that's why. We don't need form in the lead capture message. And since you're displaying it on the page, you really don't need to put anything else because you're saying we'd love to hear from you. If we go there and then go view that section again, then I think we're fine. Yeah, I figured that might have been the case. Yeah, there we go. So you still have that same form showing up there. you know, you could, and this would work just as well on mobile, and it would, I think, you know, you'd have the opportunity to kind of continue some of this sort of very tranquil, pretty stuff that's happening in the background here. I would put something like that in the background of this, and then make this a 2-column section where you say, let's connect. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out and let us know how we can help. And then put form in the second column in brackets. Right?
Okay. Is
Yeah.
there
And
a existing format for that? Because I was having a lot of trouble with, adding the form. There's something I'm not doing correctly with that.
yeah, so what we would do is I just created from a section just with 2 columns with no header. And so here is where I'm going to put form in brackets. Right, so there, that is right there. And then I'm going to grab what's here and copy that and then paste it over here.
Okay, perfect. So
Okay.
if you typed in form there, is it going to show up? I guess I thought I'll watch the video again. I don't know where I had it where it was showing up as text as opposed to actually creating the form.
Yeah. So you actually put that in the settings of the page. I'll show you where that was just a second.
Okay.
But here is what that would, well, I have form in another spot on the page. So let me just remove form from right here. And then we can go and take a look. But yeah, you had form in the right place on the page. You would just put it in the section like in the settings page. So here we go. This is
Oh,
kind
that's
of
beautiful. Yep.
yeah. So I would put you know, a nice little, again, little background,
Mhm.
a little bit more padding on the top and bottom, maybe change the color of the button to reflect something that's more aesthetically in keeping with what you have on your page. So that you would do that here. This is where
Okay.
you had form, where it was showing up duplicate. You had form right here. And this is the lead
Oh,
capture message. This is actually where you would paste, or you would, you know, write, you know, fill out, you know, put your name and email below or something
got it.
like that, right next to where the form actually shows up. So that was where the mistake was. But yeah, that's what I would do. Just have this section just like this. You could, you know, maybe get rid of this one, give this a background, and of course, as is the case in most of your sections, just a touch more padding
Okay.
on the top and bottom. And this section will look really good on mobile as well, because it's going to get that let's connect first. It's going to perform very similarly to how it would have otherwise. But yeah, that's
So
basically it.
wonderful. Thank you so much. I did have a couple more questions. So one is with the mobile, there are a couple of sections where I kept playing around with the spacing and I just could not get it to work. There's some overlapping and some kind of off center. So yeah, I would love your
Okay.
help with that.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to see that here in this section. Let me see. Or maybe that's okay, that's fine. This I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So it's
And
probably
I
that you
played with
have
it a
that.
lot, but I couldn't
Mhm.
fix it.
Got you. Okay. Here, let's see if that's showing up anywhere else. I think, okay, so you basically got, I think, like a duplicate section with this one where you copied the that section to create a new one. Okay, so in these cases where you've kind of got it stylized for your desktop viewing, you've probably taken this section, and you got to go to the element editor here. It's very likely that you have, first, before I do anything else, this is 2 columns, I think. Okay, so this guy, very likely, you may have moved to the left or right, position adjustment, no, or padding to the left or right. Okay. Let's see. There is padding, there is size adjustments. Why would it be showing up like that close to the edge though? Okay, I'm not entirely sure what is going on in this section.
Okay.
And
Maybe just
typically,
email
what's that?
support. I could email support if you know.
Yeah, I think that that is probably going to be your best bet because or actually is it this one that I should be looking at? Let me see. No. Because it seems like you might have it moved over for this, like, for aesthetic purposes. But generally speaking, when you have a section that you want to have designed for mobile, it's best to have it centered, because you never know, like, the size of the device you're going to be showing up on, right? Some people have very small phones, larger phones, etc. So yeah, so that may be one to send in to support, because I'm not really readily able to see how to
Okay.
fix that.
Or should I just break it up into two sections for mobile where picture is the top and then the text is the bottom, so they don't have to worry about sort of aligning, they will just pop up one after the other?
You could absolutely do that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You would have more sections on the page, but I mean, that gives you control over what's through it. You're not having to negotiate between the two.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, and then another just more of a technical question, and this is probably a stupid question, but I couldn't figure it out. Under the page links, so when I was trying to view this page, am I able to view it before it's published, or do I need to publish it first to view it?
Yeah, so these are the previews, if you
Yeah.
want this to be unpublished. And the thing is if you go into your settings here and you select under page settings, that this is, you can publish it, but just make it by link only at first. Nobody's going to see this unless you share the link with them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I was trying by make link only, but I don't think I published it. So can we just quickly try it and see? Because when I was playing with this, I wasn't able to actually get it to open. If we go back to the main page,
You're talking about the homepage of your website?
not on my website, but in the back end under AttractWell, where we choose the pages
Mm-hmm.
to see if we can actually open this one. Because I was trying to create a link so I can just view it like a client would view it.
Mm-hmm.
But it kept going back to the home page. It wasn't linking to this page.
Yeah, the reason why that was happening is because the page was not published.
Got it.
So if we come back, that's not what I wanted. Okay, here we go. So if we go back to this page, under the settings here, if you don't want it to be something that's discoverable, but you still want to be able to see it published, then you check publish. And the reason why it was taking you to your homepage is because if you had a 404 page, it would be taking you to the 404 page, right? Because it's a link that doesn't work. So if it's published, then when you try to view it, you will be able to see it. Just choose by link only until you want it to be discoverable. And so I saved that and then hit view, and then this is that page that's published. So it is working now. Just make sure that once you have it ready to share, that you go from the link only to public, right? To where it's available, searchable via search engines, et cetera. Because an about page is going to be a pretty powerful one for SEO.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And do you have time for just one more question?
Sure.
What's the balance of, so about page, I put pretty much the story, my credentials, all that information. Do you suggest also having some of that on the homepage? And if so, how much? My homepage has a little blurb on the bottom, but I'm not sure what information to put where. So I've got the main areas are homepage, services, and then about. And so just curious your thoughts on what to include on what page.
Okay. Yeah. So what I would do, I think this is actually great where you've got like your about me is here. And then I would maybe have a link right here next to the about me where they can click off and learn more and go to that about page that you have up top. Right.
Okay.
So you're basically creating a web of links for people to peruse and kind of dive deeper. I think we might have spoken about this before. I definitely recommend kind of switching things up for the hero section or the above the fold section on your homepage that maybe speaks directly to the problem that you solve or the person that you're trying to connect with, because we're really just repeating what's in the logo here and have just a killer opportunity right up top here to be able to say, hey, if this is you, you're in the right place. And you don't necessarily have to put a call to action here with a freebie. Because you do have a freebie right here, it's fine, but you at least want to be like, hey, if this is you, you're in the right place. Or that needs to be the affect of what lives here. But yeah, this is, I think that aside from that important modification to the most valuable real estate on your website, which is that above the fold on your homepage, you've got some pretty good balance here. You talk about how someone can work with you, you offer something for free, you know, kind of characterize what it is that you do with these pretty images, which is great. But yeah, right here for like under About Me, put a link to that new About page. I would maybe create a separate section with this information. So like have this is your about, put your, you know, link to learn more about you, put this in the next section, because this is, oh, that does go to About. Then maybe what you do is you have this, and then you've got a section that's just maybe a single column underneath. And that's your call to action. It's just, you know, to create some balance between that image of you and the text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the testimonials. No, this is good.
Okay, awesome. And is it a good idea to have all the like education on the front page, or is that too much for this section? Because I do have it in the about. Should this be more like a personal appeal?
Yeah, so there's not really a right or wrong to this per se. People are going to web pages to look for what they're looking for. And sometimes it actually makes a lot of sense to reiterate information on multiple pages if it's the most important things they can see. So if they happen to land on your About page because that's what they were curious about first, if there are 3 things you always want them to know, no matter where they are on your website, then put those on all the pages that people can discover on your website. And that'll give them the greatest likelihood of winding up where you want them to go.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. You've done great work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, you guys got a bonus of seeing some really great work today, some really excellent website designs, and I hope that inspired you guys. I hope that you are excited to go and run one-on-one and group calls. We will, of course, be back here same time next week. If there's something you would like to learn more about, let us know. Head over to our Facebook group, connect with this incredible community, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Have a great week, everybody.